So President Biden throwing in a towel on his plan to get that $2 trillion spending package through before Christmas, but he hasn't given up the ghost of getting it passed. Now, with runaway inflation and public opinion against his economic agenda, many think the bill could be dead. But if I were a Republican in Washington, I wouldn't give a toast with the eggnog, not just yet. Joining me now, Republican Senator Mike Braun of Indiana. Senator, it looks like Senator Manchin holding his ground, certainly, and here's the thing, though. I don't recall him ever saying he wouldn't pass something. So if they take out, for instance, the child tax credit, could there still be $1 trillion deal soon?
So my observation, been here a little under 3 years, and watching Joe, thank goodness we have him in cinema. Otherwise, this would be a done deal more along the lines of 8 to 10 trillion, Bernie Sanders' plan. Then we'd really be in big trouble. He has, I think, staked out where he wants to go. I think since they've invested so much political capital as a party that sooner or later they will dumb it down to where it'll satisfy him. On the revenue side, Kyrsten Sinema said, hey, we're not going to undo the Trump tax cuts. Thank goodness. That was driving a lot of what we saw pre-COVID.
Right.
I think sooner or later they'll wrestle among themselves and come up with something. I'd like to see it fade into the sunset. It gets caught into a crowded legislative calendar once you get past May of next year, and then the midterms start to take over. So they've wasted a lot of time already, a lot of egg on their face. I'd still put odds on something happening. I just don't know when and how much.
Let's stay on this child tax credit for a moment. It's always sold as a way to get folks out of poverty. But here's the thing that to me, it's a PR thing, because that only means a family of four, for instance, having an income of $27,000. And what I don't get is why, as a nation, do we keep aiming so low for our fellow Americans? I don't understand why Republicans don't push hard on the notion that a better thing is to have a great economy where people can work and make a lot more than $27,000 and really, really do something great for their families.
And I think that's a challenge that we're going to have, because if we don't get both chambers back in 2022 and start laying out some policy that makes sense, this will loop back again somewhere down the road where especially the independents, who in my opinion elect the swing state senators, congressmen, president, they want something other than no or I'm not interested. So we've got everything on our side. We've both been complicit in these standard $1 trillion structural deficits because we have no fiscal discipline here. That still doesn't mean we get left off the hook for not crafting some policy on the big issues, embracing smaller government, real pay-fors. They've given us that challenge. That is what I'm most worried about come 2022, come 2024.
The American public right now bracing for this latest wave of the variant, the COVID-19 variant. In the meantime, you and Senator Cotton have introduced this pharmaceutical bill. I think it's perfect timing for it. We've got less than a minute, but I'd like you to share your thoughts with the audience.
Clearly, the COVID and its ramifications says, hey, supply chains are screwed up across the board, rare earth minerals, pharmaceuticals. We're focusing on that because it's the highest cost of our healthcare sector in our economy anyway. It needs to be reformed, more competitive, more transparent. We thought this would be a good place to make sure we're not at the mercy of our biggest geopolitical adversary in the world to make the basic pharmaceuticals. So all these supply chain movers, Charles, CEOs have been looking at that over the last 2-3 years, even before COVID. It just brought things like semiconductors, rare earth minerals, pharmaceuticals. We've got to make sure we're not at the beck and call of somebody that wants to replace us on the world stage sooner or later. And looks like everything they're doing, they're trying to put their money where their mouth has been.
Oh, no doubt about it. In fact, I invite everyone to take a look at the periodic table. Almost every day, China's dominating more and more of the periodic table. I want people to think about that. That's the basis for everything. We couldn't have this conversation without it, and we certainly can defend and keep our prosperity without it.
And we've got most of that stuff right here in the good old U.S. of A.
Yeah.
And that's where we as Republicans need to cite that, do it in a reasonable way. And Tom and I did this because we thought it was the right place to start, where you get the biggest bang for our buck.
Absolutely. I mean, this is something common sense that should obliterate any sort of political aisles. Senator Braun, thank you very much. Appreciate it.